Hi everyone, this is Boardgames Bourbon. I'm Glenn Flaherty, and right now I'm going to talk to you about a new game called Istanbul or Constantinople, which is a small game. You can see how small it is. That's for 2 players and plays probably in about 15 minutes. Now, this is made by Canoe, and they call it part of the Float series, and Float stands for something like fun, lively, whatever the other letters are, but essentially they're like little pocket or backpack games, so you can really carry with you. This in particular, I found to be a really great pub game because the whole surface area, the whole footprint of the game is very, very small, maybe like 2 hands wide, very tiny. Now, in particular, what you're doing in this game is you are trying to win. These are supposed to be the streets of Istanbul, Constantinople, and you are trying to win these various columns of cards. Now, each of these columns of cards have to equal different numbers, either 5, 10, 15, 10, or 5. And if you are able to make these columns equal that number, you've won the column, and then your victory points from that column is the most expensive card in that column. Now, to set up the game, what you're going to do is you're going to set up these columns 2, 3, 4, 3, and 2. And then really it's a 2-player game. I think it says it plays like 3, or you can play 4 at, 2 teams each. But really it's a 2-player game, and then what happens is the remainder of the cards are split evenly, so each team gets 2 cards. And on your turn, what's going to happen is you will do one of 3 things to manipulate the columns to become the numbers you want. Those things are, number 1, you can flip a card upside down. So let's take a look at this card, for example. Okay, this card says that it, and by the way, look at that art. How great is that art? This card says that it's worth 9, okay? It's in a column here that we're trying to make worth 10. So 9 might be a little bit too high. What you can do on a card like this is you can flip it. And if I flip it, it becomes a 1. That could really, work in my favor. And if you look, you'll notice that it not only says 1, it tells you what's on the other side. This is a 1, the other side says 9. However, that's not the only cool thing about it. Assuming you're playing across from each other, the other side has opposite numbers that face the other person, -1 and -9. So each of you are actually playing simultaneous different games. However, they do relate because whereas one side is positive, the other is negative. So you're kind of always fighting against each other. So like I said, the first thing you can do is you can flip a card. The second thing you can do is you can exchange cards. So let's suppose this column here that I want to be 15. This card right here on the bottom says 7, and let's say that's too big for me. I'm going to take that card, and I really need to get this down. I'm going to take one from my hand, and this is called exchanging, and I'm going to put this into the game, and that's a -4, so that might really help me. The third thing you can do in the game is you can swap 2 cards within the streets. And let's suppose I wanted to swap these. They not only change location, but they change orientation. So whereas the -1 is facing me, it has to also switch orientation to become a -1 into a +1. So now I have a +1. And that's really all you got to do. But I got to tell you, actually being the game takes a lot more thinking than you might expect. I was really caught off guard by how simple it was. I was captivated before I even played it by seeing this art, which I think is so cool. It's really, really nice. And so anyway, if you're into like a little game that you could play anywhere, it has very simple rules, this is a really super dandy one. This one's definitely going in the backpack, along with like 2 or 3 others that they've made. Once again, that is Istanbul or Constantinople. I really recommend it. Check that one out. Thanks, everybody. Bye.